Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is Canada Startup, and today we have a special session as we explore how to build your first stock portfolio for Gen X. And today we've got not only my wonderful co-host, Bill Wilson. Hi, Bill. How are you?
Hey, doing well, Dave. Great to see you again.
Fantastic. We've got a special guest. He is a well-renowned YouTuber. He is a YouTube coach. He is somebody who has got hundreds of thousands of followers, and someone we're really, really grateful to have aboard, Mr. Sabby BG. How are you, Sabby?
I'm good, Dave. Thank you for the amazing introduction. Dave's my coach as well, so I'm always happy.
That's what's been beautiful about this arrangement is that we all have some skills, we all have some talents. Bill's got over 45, 50 years in ice hockey. We're friends from the over 50 years ago. We played ice hockey together. Sabby, you have been influencing so many people around the world. And today we're delving into an area called financial literacy. Bill, what do you think when you think financial literacy?
Well, I'm learning more every week, and it extends, the definition for me extends more and more. So first off, like we were having in our little chat there a second ago, there's understanding that whole language, the whole jargon. So when you come across a couple of people talking stocks, you can start to listen and, hey, oh, I know what you're talking about. And then there's understanding that, and then there's being able to act on it. So yeah, I could spout off all the terms, but I want to be able to then go and act on them, whether it be buying them, researching them, whatever. And then the next thing that I found, because I've been teaching my wife, so that being able to teach it is the next level I find with the whole idea of lit. So I think every week, because when she says, "Hun, why, I'm giving you this money, what are you doing?" At least I can now teach her and say, hey, we're doing this and we're doing well. And she's smiling every time I come out of one of these sessions and we learn more. So the fact that I can now understand, act, and teach, I think that's the whole part of what the literacy is all about.
Fantastic. And Sabby, it's something you and I've discussed, is that financial literacy ought to be taught in schools. It's something so important. What would be an intention today as we explore your first stock portfolio and something about financial literacy? What would be an intention for today?
See, I'm always looking for get-rich-quick schemes. So I'm really hoping this is one of them. Okay, jokes apart, I want to just better know, how do I do with the millions and billions of dollars I have in my bank account, my checking account, how to get them to put to some use? Nobody has ever taught me that. And I think if I can understand how do I help, if I can be helped by making money through money, I think that is something I'm looking for, like maybe diving into that to start with today.
That's absolutely fantastic, Sabby, because that is what we're going to be talking about. The Get Rich Quick scheme probably ain't going to work. If you read the Millionaire Next Door, which is a great book from the States, it's the people who actually create the millions tend to do it over a 7, 14, 20, 28-year cycle. And that's one of the things that there's going to be some tools and ideas, but also some verbs and words that we're going to shift the mindset today. So how to put it together? Let's going to start off with our first question. Which financial institution do you use, Sabby?
RBC, and then I have credit card or debit card with Tangerine.
Excellent. So, Bill, when you hear that he uses RBC, what would be a tip for perhaps one of the first stocks that Sabby looks to get, and why?
So, Sabby, what we were just talking about when Dave asked me about the literacy part there. You deal with RBC. When you read your statement every month, what do you see on there? The one part that you probably don't like. The part where they charge you the fees.
The few times I review my statement, I think the bank fee is what I don't like.
Right. Okay. So RBC has a thing called the dividend. So if you invest in them, they are actually going to pay you back some money that potentially, depending on how many shares you buy, will offset all your fees. So that could be one of your first stocks, because you're paying for their service, but you can also get some money back.
Makes total sense.
And so one of the things that we really like to do, Sabby, is when we're talking stock investing, is to actually start looking at your universe of the companies you're currently using, the services you like, the ownership that you would like to have. We want to shift the mindset from being strictly a consumer, which we've all been trained to do, to actually be an investor or an owner. And so instead of your bank and you're saying, oh, my bank, and you're complaining about the fees, no. What if you had 100 shares and every quarter the Royal Bank sent you a check? How cool would that be?
That would be fantastic.
And then what also you're starting to do is, as an owner of the company, they're going to start sending you information. They've got some of the smartest people in Canada writing reports about the financial situation, about the economic situation, about the interest rate prospects. And you're going to start getting into that information. So as an entrepreneur, isn't that useful information?
100%. 100%.
In fact, it's so useful. It makes me shake my head. Like an entrepreneur who doesn't have any stocks, are they really an entrepreneur? It's something I've been asking myself since I came up with this methodology about 12 years ago and experimented first with my 12-year-old son. And we went through a very similar process to get him to pick his first 7 companies that he was interested in. And then we put some money aside, and it actually accumulated over years to a point where it pretty much covered his university.
Wow.
And so that's a little bit. So if you were to write Royal Bank, the code is ry.to, and then you went into Yahoo Finance and you clicked it in there, you would then start to see the statistics. And I actually drew them up for you. So Royal Bank right now, $117. It's gone from 80 to 117 this year.
Wow.
But most importantly is it pays 3.67% dividend. How much are you getting for your deposits right now in the bank?
I think in my account, the one I have, there's no interest. Yeah.
Exactly. So this is the thing. A lot of Canadians are sitting with money in their bank account getting 0, yet they're not owning the shares that would give them 3.67%. So if that's one thing that you take away today, if you were to go on to Wealthsimple, register your account, and even go buy 5 shares, that would be about $500. In the next 3 months, they'll be sending you a check. Isn't that cool?
That's amazing.
Bill, anything on that? Because this is something that Bill and I've been talking about, and he's been hunting the dividends, because that's something that, as a baby boomer, Bill and I have got to really be looking at dividends income to supplement our income as we move into the final frontier. Whereas you, as Gen X, might want to have a combination of some risky stocks and also some dividend stocks, because getting dividends is such a great thing. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
Okay. Bill,
so absolutely, I think it's a passive income. I mean, in a way, I look at it kind of like that.
I would say
it's smart passive income.
I would say it's good. It's passive, yet I'm inviting you, because when you get interested in it, it's going to be more like a hobby. It's going to be more of an interest, because when you start getting money, it's like, whoa, where'd this come from? And it's sort of like, you'll be engaged, you'll be excited, and it's hopefully something that will inspire you to become even more astute in the management of the money.
Absolutely.
Okay, so our Royal Bank could be your first stock that you look at. The number 2 stock is that we're going to look at is really, what type of phone or computer do you use?
Android, Samsung.
All right. And so your Samsung computer, Samsung phone, Samsung everything?
No, Dell computers and Samsung phone.
Okay. Are you a fan at all of Apple?
Yeah, but I have not purchased their units, but I like their products. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's the thing, that when I ask this question, it's now a discussion about types of computers and phones and what type of investment you'd like to make. If you're to own one of these, Apple has been probably one of the best performing stocks over the last 10 years. Samsung has some good performance, yet because it's a Korean company, it has a little bit more transparency tends to be a bit of an issue. Dell is another one that if you really like Dell products, wouldn't it make sense that you invest in Dell and then maybe owning it for a couple of years as it goes up? If it goes up enough, it might actually pay for your next Dell computer.
Very true.
So the way that we're playing this game is if you were to pick one of those, Dell or Apple or, again, any other sort of computer software or phone, which company do you think you'd like to perhaps own, be an owner of?
There's something I'm just thinking that I really, really like. Maybe, I don't know, Fitbit?
Actually, Fitbit's one of those things that I would personally have to do a little bit more research. I'm not too familiar with Fitbit or who the owner is, yet that is one of the things that you could do is you could start to think of the companies that you like. I'm just seeing right now that it's Fitstar. It's a privately listed. It's a private company right now.
So it's not. So how about? I think RBC would be a good one.
Okay, well, RBC will be your first one. See, when we're talking about sectors, we're going to have a finance company. We're going to have a hardware company. We're going to have a computer company. We're going to have a diversified portfolio. So if the market goes up and down, sometimes the banks go up, sometimes the technology companies go up. So that's what diversification has. And that's why I'm asking you specifically, if I was to give you a choice of Dell or Apple, we could do further studying, but which one would you perhaps say you'd rather have?
Apple.
Okay, so then let's put down APPL. And the way that you use your phone is you put APPL, Yahoo Finance, and then you click it in. Bill, what would you say about a tech products that a phone or computer, which one has been interesting to you so far?
Apple, definitely. The one actually, a question I did want to bring up today, as far as I guess phone technology. What are your thoughts on BlackBerry? They've signed a big government contract just recently. I know there was some comments saying that people weren't overly happy with Q3 earnings and that sort of thing. But now, listen to me now, Sabby. 6 or 8 weeks ago, I wouldn't have been able to say all this. But anyway, so BlackBerry, the financials that they produced just recently, a lot of the pundits and out there weren't overly happy with what the performance was. But then now they've signed this big government contract. So is that going to be the thing that pushes BlackBerry back into the positive side again for people wanting to purchase, or is the trend still going to be that this is just going to keep them maybe above water? That's where I guess my research has to go now.
It's a great question, and I'll give you this answer, that if you're talking about one of the best companies in the world right now, you're talking about Apple. If you're talking about a highly speculative company, you're talking about BlackBerry. So you could own both, because Sabby, in starting your portfolio, I'm actually inviting you to have a Royal Bank. It's a fantastic bank. It's got a high rating. It's got reserves. It's got 25 years of delivering dividends. It's got a great track record. Apple, do you have any idea how much cash on the books right now Apple has?
Must be trillions.
That's why I asked you to take a look at Yahoo Finance. So if you're to type in APPL, Yahoo Finance, you can get the balance sheet, you can get the income statement, you can get the low price, the high price, the current price charting, and it gives you a lot of information. I just looked it up. Right now, Apple has $90 billion on their balance sheet, meaning, and they have actually increased their dividend recently, and they've been doing buybacks. So, and it's funny because one of their competitors, Microsoft, yesterday bought a company for about $24 billion, and they're actually paying cash. Usually when there's these big transactions, they have to issue stock to buy it. But right now, the big guys, the top companies, which we're talking a little bit about today, have so much cash on their balance sheet. They're very, very strong. So Apple is right now, it's going to be an interesting month because they are reporting. They've just announced today that they're going to be doing an Apple Day, I think on April 20th. And so there's a lot of excitement that they're doing every 3 months when they report their numbers. So that's probably a pretty good second stock to consider. All right. Sound good? So let's go to your third.
Absolutely makes sense.
Let's go to your third stock. Now, you're in technology. So I'm wondering, what type of platforms do you use with your technology? Do you like, which ones do you like to play with? Do you use Facebook? Do you like the Apple ecosystem? Are you using Amazon? And the last one I'm sort of saying, or are you a bigger fan of Google? And of course, you know who Google owns, right?
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, I'm definitely, biased towards, let's say, if it comes to be a platform that has changed my life, is certainly YouTube.
So, isn't it cool that YouTube is paying you regularly? Wouldn't it be cool if you were actually an owner of the company that owned YouTube?
Absolutely.
And so right now, Google, their shares are quite high. They're $2,000 a share.
Yeah.
Now, this is the benefit that Americans have right now. They're able to do fractional shares. So they're able to buy like $200 worth. In Canada, we have this platform called Wealthsimple that allows you to buy American stocks without any commissions, yet there would be a transaction fee if you were to buy US dollars.
Got it.
However, that's the type of idea, is that you've got a relationship with Google. To go the next step, you actually can become a part owner of Google, and then you start to walk differently. Can you imagine, like, you've got your portfolio, you got the Royal Bank paying you every quarter. You've got Apple that if you bought an Apple and you're using it, you like the ecosystem, or you actually learn from Tim Cook about the ecosystem. You're looking at building your business. Having an ecosystem makes a lot of sense. And then you talk about Google and the way that they're doing search and the way that they're going to maybe spin off YouTube. And so that's one of the things that I think, if you had your ideal magic wand, Google would probably be the platform that you would pick.
100%.
All right. So now we've come up with 3 of the 6 stocks. What do you think about that, Bill?
That's nice, man. These are looking good. Now there's more questions for you, Sabby.
Yes, because we want to dig a little deeper into dividends, because this is what really, again, for baby boomers like Bill and I, it can be incredible. If we work our portfolio, we could be making $500, $800, $1,500, $2,000 a month just on dividends. That's pretty sweet if you work on that over a certain amount of time. Yet, when I'm thinking about introducing people to dividends, would you like to be paid monthly or quarterly from publicly listed companies? How cool would that be?
Yeah.
Do you have any questions about that? Or Bill, do you have any questions about dividends? Because did you recently receive your first dividend, Bill, or how's that going so far?
We got I have some shares in FIE, and it was amazing. We got our first dividend, and it was a whole 20 cents. But hey, it was a start.
So, Sabby, if you were to go FIE.TO for Toronto into Yahoo Finance, then you would see the full information about FIE. FIE is an exchange-traded fund based on finance companies in Canada, and it happens to have quite an attractive dividend. Do you know what the dividend is right now, Bill?
What was it? It's about, I think, 4% or something like that.
I believe it's approximately 6.73 was the last time I looked. Oh, wow.
And it pays monthly, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, Sabby, this is FIE. It's an exchange-traded fund that trades like a stock. If you were to go on to Wealthsimple, you could buy it, and you could buy it. You could buy $100 worth. You could buy $200, $1,000, and it has a 6.69% dividend that is paid monthly. And so when I explained that one to my mom, that was the first one of her first 500. She put 400 into that one, and then the next month she got her $2.20, and she was pretty happy that the next month she put a little bit more in.
Incredible.
Now, there's a couple of other ones I wanted to introduce you to, because that's a very famous one. In fact, that one was introduced to me by my son, Justin. I had never heard of FIE until about 9 months ago, and I immediately put some money in too. another high yielder, which is why we're looking at companies in Canada that are paying a lot more than what your bank deposits. Bill, have you been looking at any others?
I looked at eSplit today, and I got one of those.
Oh, okay. So why don't you explain Enbridge and eSplit?
So I got Enbridge. I bought another Enbridge today. So Enbridge goes, Sabby, it goes back to what Dave's been talking about. When you sort of walk through your house and just say, hey, oh, I pay for that. I pay for that. Okay. So it's, well, when Dave and I first did it, we were looking through and okay, there's our utilities. So he told me about Enbridge and I went and I checked. Okay, we use Enbridge and you actually get a dividend from Enbridge. So it goes back to what we've been saying. We pay Enbridge every month. So now I can be an owner and think, hey, you know what? Enbridge is doing well. I'll pay my bill on time. And then I'm getting a dividend back from them. And yeah, I have 2 shares on them. And since I purchased it, it's actually gone up. So that's been nice as well. I think the dividend only is quarterly though, isn't it, Dave?
It's quarterly. However, it is 7.16%, Sabby.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So he's going to get quarterly payments from Enbridge. Big or small investment. When you're in Wealthsimple, they'll pay you in cash. If you set up with a bank like Royal Bank has something called Action Direct, and you have enough of it, you can actually invest through what's called a dividend reinvestment plan that automatically shares will be purchased for you instead of giving you the money.
Very cool.
That, my dear friend, is one of the magic formulas of the rich and famous, is having dividend reinvestment. So every quarter, more shares are bought, and then you're getting the benefits of compounding in a tax-sheltered environment.
Mm.
And so that would double in about 10 years, a 7% dividend. Plus you get the capital appreciation. And the thing about Enbridge, in the last 6 months, it's gone up about 7%. So a very conservative investment's giving you between 12 and 15%.
Wow.
So Enbridge would be the second. And then there's a third that we just want to share with you. And that's, share that third one, Bill.
eSplit. I just got that today. That was one we had talked about last week. And that's the one that's got the one that I liked about it. The dividend is, I think right now, almost 12%. And it pays monthly. So that one will be interesting to see what happens next month after making my first purchase. So
Sabby, that would be typing in ens.to, Yahoo Finance. And right now it's trading at $13.59, and it has a dividend of 11.52%. There are very few people, if you were to walk down the street in Toronto, as you do quite regularly, and go ask them, where in Canada can I get 11.5%? I would, like a month ago, I wouldn't have had the answer. So this is the beautiful thing about having these challenges, but also this sharing information, is that sometimes you can get some pretty cool feedback. Now, there are risks to that. They are doing some derivatives on Enbridge shares, yet as a monthly payer, it's a fascinating investment for a portion of your portfolio. So say if you had a $2,000 portfolio, we're introducing to about 6 or 7 names, you'd probably have $250 to $300 per investment. That's the importance of diversity too.
Makes sense.
So of the last one that I had in this area was as a nice dividend investment in Canada. Have you ever heard of Bell Canada?
Yes.
So Bell Canada Enterprises is a stable investment traditionally with a 6.04% dividend. So we've given you sort of 3. You could go with a Bell Canada, which is your telco. You could go with your energy, which would be Enbridge, or you could leverage Enbridge. Which one of those 3 might be of interest for you in your dividend investment?
I think eSplit.
Okay, let's put down eSplit as the fourth holding. And then what we're doing is we're building that portfolio. So the next area we want to talk about is something I don't think it's too appropriate for you since you're such a good, clean living guy. These are called sin stocks. So these are the companies like casinos or alcohol or Mary J or gambling. Do you have any interest in any of those topics?
What is Mary J?
It's that new product that is illegal in Canada that is becoming legal in America.
Okay.
Marijuana.
I've heard of that thing.
Yes. So that's a whole new industry, and it's a speculative industry. It's an industry that 5 years ago went really, really high and then really crashed. And now again, it's a very dynamic industry. And some of the top companies in North America are Canadian because Canada decriminalized it before the Americans. And so there are companies in that space that if you wanted to study a little bit, you could study and learn about that sector. Alfria is the one that is one of the biggest players. Wynn Casinos is a very famous casino in America. Because of COVID, their stock went down and now it's recovering. Altria is a fascinating company because it's a tobacco company. Now, the reason why that one's quite fascinating is that it has also a dividend that's about 6.7%.
Oh.
And then you have what Bill's favorite sin is beer. And so he wanted Molson Canadian. Molson got bought out by, or they did a joint venture with Coors, and that stock is called TAP, T-A-P.
Interesting. It's called TAP, eh? Nice.
Yes.
Yeah. On tap.
So, which one of those might be of interest if you were to pick one from the sin stocks?
I think something to do with Mary J may be nice.
That's so. The one that's been very, very front stage in Canada is Afria. So you could type in Afria, which their code APHA.TO. You could then read about Afria in the Yahoo Finance. They show graphs. They show the opportunity to see one-day graphs, 6 months graphs. You have a range this year. It's gone from $3.93 all the way to $40. And today it closed at $18.55. And just to let you know, that's the one I most actively trade on my phone. Because there's lots of volatility. Yesterday it dropped about 11%. Today it was up 8%. And so you could write down Afria as your sin stock. Next question is to really ask you about the types of products and services that you use, you like, you love. Some of the examples, surprisingly, the biggest company in Canada. You might know it, you might not know it. Do you have any idea what is the biggest company in Canada?
Salesforce? No. The biggest?
It's funny. Royal Bank has been the biggest company in Canada for quite a few years. Yet this past year, Shopify became bigger than Royal Bank. Yes.
Seriously? Wow.
So when I looked at Shopify, for you might be interested in Shopify. Bill's working on a Shopify project right now. Yet there's also littler ones that you could be in that whole energizing the entrepreneur journey. That's what Shopify has really done. They've been competing with Amazon. They've been growing. And so that's been something that has been quite exciting this past year. Shopify is North America. Meli is Latin America. And another one called Jumia is in Africa. And so those are three companies that are very, very similar. And then there's one in Asia is called SE. And those are all traditional type of enablers for entrepreneurs. Other services that you might use, Salesforce is actually CRM. That is the ticker for that. If you've ever used it and you love it, then I'd say, yeah, again, maybe you want to be an owner of that. And then the one I put in there too was TransCanada Pipeline if you wanted more dividends because they have a dividend of about 5.9%. So what you can just share with us, are there other services or products that you really like, and we can give you some feedback on whether we are familiar with their publicly listed.
I don't know. I like, CRM companies like HubSpot. I don't know if HubSpot is public. But no, I mean, yeah, it looks like HubSpot is public, right? It looks like it. I'm not sure.
Actually, the two that you've been using actually are Upwork and Fiverr.
Fiverr and Upwork, yeah.
Okay? And then the other one that you might like is Zoom. That's gone public lately. And so, so these are companies that you might be using, that you might be interested in owning. And that's one of the things that I wanted to allow you to sort of add any thoughts or pick that extra one that could be part of the portfolio also. I have a funny story about my son. He was reading a magazine from his high school, and it was for SodaStream. And so he came home one day and he goes, "Dad, you know what the most popular product according to Forbes? It's SodaStream." And I go, "Oh, what do they do?" And he goes, "Oh, they make soda drinks." And I go, "Oh, do you want one?" And he goes, "Yeah." I go, "Do they have a stock?" And we checked out SodaStream, and they did have a stock. And I said, "Well, we should go check out the product." So we went down to Takashimiya in Singapore, checked out the product. We decided that day to buy some of the stock and the product. And within 3 months, the stock went up. He got his product for free. Take that to the next degree. A buddy of ours actually bought a Tesla a year and a half ago. We said to him, "Why don't you just buy 10 shares of Tesla?" And if he would have done that, his car would have been free. Tesla has gone up that much. If he would have bought about a $4,000 investment within a year and a half, that car, $67,000 car, would have been free.
Wow.
And that's one of the reasons why we like to play the game. And this is that last one where you can have a spec stock. You can have one that is it's called a penny stock sometimes. And it can soar and it can grow. And that's where we want you to perhaps have 1 out of 7. But you being Gen X, you might even have 2 out of 7. Whereas Bill and I really should limit it to 1 out of 7. Now, where we could take it to the next degree is what about Bitcoin? Is what about the altcoins? Are you interested in Bitcoin? Have you looked at Bitcoin at all? Is it
never did, but I'm curious.
Well, today we set new records. Bitcoin for the first time was over 62,000, 80,000 Canadian. Ethereum went almost 3,000 Canadian. This is up almost 40%. I can actually just check my phone on that because this also on Wealth Simple, you will be able to track your cryptocurrencies here. And so today, right now, actually, BTC, Bitcoin's up $4,300, 5.8% to 79,000. And Ethereum up 7.7, $200 to 2,800. And so that's one of the things that you could do is to put $500 into either Bitcoin, Ethereum, or the second derivative. These are what's called the miners. And so that might be your spec play. Instead of CRM or Shopify, you might decide to put a little bit. What the guidance that we've been suggesting is that in a portfolio, having 5% in gold or 5% in Bitcoin or 10% in what's called like conservative insurance would probably be a good strategy.
Okay, makes sense, yeah.
And so if you decided to have a gold or a silver in your portfolio, you could also have a little bit of Bitcoin. Now, you being Gen X, you might take 10 or 15%. This is the thing about my son who's, I guess, in his 20s, or millennials, they're invited to have 20% in alternative currencies because that's what they're going to be living with. They're not going to be using money, right? They're doing everything right now. There's so many new platforms. What's your view these days on cryptos, Bill?
Oh, the more I learn about it, the more excited I get about it. Because what I learned from you is being able to buy a fund. So the Canadian fund that was launched just recently, the BTCC. So I bought some of that, and it's exciting every day watching that one. Every time I see something about Bitcoin or Ethereum or any of those things, it allowed me to get into that game, but not have to just be able to sort of put my toe in the water for it, right? That I was able to take a little sample through a fund, and I think the BTCC was going at about $9 when I first purchased it. Now it's up to 11 and change, almost 12. And that's only like maybe 2 months ago now. So, you know, it's exciting every time I see something, Bitcoin's going this way. Okay, then I know this is going up as well. It's exciting every day.
So Sabby, that's what's really cool, is that this is something that just got launched, I think 6 weeks ago, Bill. And
yeah,
since its launch, it's up 16.4%. And the bite size, which is nice, like it's not like you got to spend $80,000 to buy a full Bitcoin. You get a ETF, an exchange traded fund called BTCC.B Yahoo Finance, and it's today closed at 1184. And so that's something, again, that could be your spec position, and it might be the fun thing to do, because I great to hear, Bill, that you've done that, and that's part of your learning and your growing with your portfolio. Is there any questions? Do you have a question today, Bill, or Sabby? Any follow-up questions on any of things we shared?
Not me. It makes total sense. Everything you've mentioned, like how I just take my relationship a level up with the products companies that I use, and while making money and getting those products, you know, in some way free of cost.
Yes, and the education and the learning and the tracking, and it's not something you have to do 24/7. It's something that's in your pocket. You could be looking at it 3-4 times. I do a lot of trading when I'm doing shopping. I do walking in the park, and I'm doing trades. And so it is something, because this is a shift that something like Wealthsimple has taken away the commissions, so the transaction charges and the bite size. Bill wouldn't have been able to do that portfolio 15 years ago because it was $30 a transaction each side. Mm-hmm. And so $11 trade you just couldn't do. So, but today you could go in and out. You buy it at 11, you sell it at 11.50. And so, Bill, what's up for you in the next sort of month or 3 months for your investing in your portfolio?
Well, I have a question first.
Sure.
When you're setting these up, what strategy would you recommend for we'll say couples? Like my wife was asking me today, should she set up an account and we each have our own account? Do we set up one account that we both contributed to, or is there such a thing as a joint account? That was one of the things we were wondering about today.
Great. The banks, for instance, I do recommend you get set one up with a bank, so that you guys could have a joint account. So joint accounts are very popular with the banks.
So a joint savings account or a joint share, like a joint thing on Wealthsimple?
Actually, a joint trading account with whichever bank you belong to. So you belong to the Royal Bank has Action Direct, TD has TD Ameritrade, and so BMO has their own platform for trading, because there's going to be some things that Wealthsimple doesn't do, Bill. And if you're going to set up your TFSA, which is probably the way you want to set up these accounts, and that's the same thing with you, Sabby, is that with a TFSA account, whatever you're investing, it accumulates or grows with no tax effect.
Right.
And so you've got probably about 50 or Bill, you probably got 55 to 60,000 each that could be put into a TFSA. Your RRSP can also be set up with the bank. And that's something that, again, I'd encourage you to do, is when you go to the bank, you set up perhaps an RRSP that can be self-administered. Now, again, I've got to say that this is not financial advice. This is for educational purpose. So I'm definitely encouraging you to go talk to the bank. Yet I would say having a bank securities account would be very useful, because that, if you decide to put a bigger amount to do your drips, then you can get the shares being purchased directly into your bank account, and you can use your Wealthsimple as your trading account. If she wants to develop her own account, I personally, if she gets into this, it's really useful. Like I'm saying here with my mom, who's 81, who just got a really nice Samsung phone, and in the last 6 weeks, she set up her first Wealthsimple account, now she has 7 stocks, and she's looking at it daily.
Nice.
And she's getting dividends monthly. And so she's having fun with it. And she's not actively trading it. Like one of her stocks was down today. I said, well, buy some more. And she goes, I don't want to buy more. It's down. That's what I would be buying more. Yet so I'm talking to her about it, and it's really, really fantastic. She's also been inspired by Sabby, and she's now doing her walking, and she's averaging 6,000-7,000 steps a day. And so that's 81, folks. So that's one of the things we're really happy about.
Unimaginable.
Yes. Well, that's what's really beautiful about, I think, investing can be done. Financial literacy is something that can be explored at any age. And it's been great because with her as grandmother to my son, they also gave some money to him a few months ago to manage for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency investing. And so my son in his 20s is managing money for the family. And so the only way you can get good at that is to practice. And so this is one of the times to practice, and the portfolio, his timing was pretty good. He's had some ups and downs. That's the thing about crypto. Yet right now, Sabby, that might be one of the things for you to do is to check out BTCC. And that might be a way to have, again, you could start at $11 investment. It's not like I'm saying you got to put 100 grand in. No, you start out with $100 or $20. And so that would allow you to get involved in the market and let the market teach you, because that, for financial literacy, learning with the market, not thinking you know everything about the market every day. Like, I love the markets right now because they're so volatile, and I'm positioned where if it goes down 30%, that would be a great buying opportunity. If it goes up 20%, I'll probably be selling just to take some profits to put on the side. So it's very dynamic, and it's there's lots of information to explore. And financial literacy is about being aware of ebbs and flows of currency and developing the vocabulary, the lingo to be able to have the conversation. Does that answer your question, Bill?
Yeah, no, that's great. Gives me some stuff. So to your question about what I'm going to do over the next 1 to 3 months, I'm going to start to research those accounts. And then some of the other things we were talking about today, I want to watch them a bit more. Afria, Molson, Shopify. I want to learn about those a bit more. And then also I want to start to understand a bit about purchasing things through like the US.
Yes. And so the challenge with Shopify right now for Canadians is the share price is about $1,500 a share.
Yeah.
And so if you want to be in a similar industry, and this is something what we have to do is like Amazon's the same thing, Sabby, is that to buy a Amazon share right now is $3,400 US. So if you're going to have a portfolio and you're going to have $3,400 or $3,500 each share, I'm saying you're going to might have a $25,000 portfolio. So someone who wants to start with 2,000, which is the size that I encourage people to work towards in the next 3 months, and invest every month a little bit, because that allows you to develop your chops with the market. And it's something that I really encourage millennials to do. Yet Gen X, if you haven't done it, it's one of the ways to start. Pick 1 or 2 of the ones that you picked today. Do you want to repeat the ones that you've sort of said is your first portfolio? Sabby?
RBC.
Yep.
Apple.
Yep.
And eSplit.
Yep.
Dell.
Yep.
I think those were it, right? Oh, and I think there was a CRM, Fiverr or Upwork, something like one of those.
Okay. And I think you had.
What were your thoughts on the cryptocurrency, Sabby? Like the Bitcoin one?
And the crypto as well. Absolutely.
So that could be BTCC.
And Afria.
Yes, that would be your sin stock.
Now that I don't know what Mary Jane is.
And serious,
I like
that is a pretty cool first starting portfolio. Now, what you might do is you can go onto Yahoo Finance, or Yahoo Finance, and you can put it in and you can create a portfolio, or you could do a little research. You could put it on a piece of paper and start studying it a little bit. And that might be the next step. It could be setting up your Wealthsimple account, which we've sent the link to you. You could do that. It takes 3 days to put money from your bank account into Wealthsimple. And what other tips might you have, Bill, to get started in stock investing for Gen X?
I think for me, I found doing the Wealthsimple, get that set up. It's fairly easy, fairly straightforward. I find that being a lot easier than trying to deal with. I don't feel comfortable doing the level at the bank just yet. Just because the research I've done so far, there's a whole bunch of fees here, there, and everywhere. So with Wealthsimple, it's what it is. It's simple, quick setup. And like Dave said, it takes a couple of days. You connect your bank, move over whatever you feel comfortable with as far as the money goes. It'll take about 3 days to get into your account. And then if you, again, until you feel comfortable, nothing happens to that money. You can research the different companies, then go make your first trade. When you see everything happen, the excitement starts to build, then you'll make your second purchase. And again, it just keeps building and building and building. And then now you'll be checking your phone every day, certain times, either every day, once a day, or multiple times throughout the day. You'll be logging into Wealthsimple, and sometimes you're smiling, sometimes you're not. But hey, it's excitement.
And it's financial literacy and it's financial awareness. And the deeper you want to dive, you could have discussions. We could have offshoots to talk a little bit more about different stocks, different opportunities, developing a mastermind, all these wonderful opportunities that could come into play as you develop your financial awareness, and then financial fitness and financial literacy. And that was the mission today, was to share some insights, some experience, and so hopefully some enthusiasm to assist entrepreneurs, particularly today, Gen X, to really get involved in the markets, to be more aware, and to have some fun with it, and also to make some money. So, Sabby, any final questions or thoughts from today's session?
No, I think the objectives that we had set for this meeting have been beyond met. So thank you. I mean, I think I'm just, my knowledge is, if not multiplied, it's definitely way more than what I knew before on how to look at stock market, and just how, looking at growing your financial strength in a different way than just putting in the bank, saving 1% that we make.
Yes, absolutely. Fantastic. Bill, any completing thoughts, questions, or as we bring it to another Canada startup in collaboration with Lead Pedal Radio, the wonderful Sabby BG. We really appreciate your time today. Any last thoughts or questions, Bill?
It was actually very good today. I really enjoyed it. It was sort of taking me to the next level for my financial literacy, and then learning more, but also being able to see that I can explain it to somebody else, so I can start to teach. And I guess, even the other part of teaching is being able to understand it and explain it to somebody who doesn't have any understanding at all. So, I'm sort of taking that thing that, what would I do if I was told I have to explain this to a 6-year-old? What kind of thing, so be able to explain it to whoever I'm talking to. I feel a little more comfortable with that after today. So thank you.
All right. Well, thank you. And if you're watching this today, please subscribe, add a comment, a like, ask us a question about any particular stock. We'll be happy to give some educational perspectives. It's been a great time to meet with Sabby and Bill again. And that's wishing everybody a profitable and enjoyable week ahead. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, Sabby.